So I caught a ride into work today. Was able to get a dish shift on. Um, Disconnected the battery from the car and brought it in and had it tested to make sure that that wasn't part of the problem. And it was fine. It was somehow after 4 days of fairly persistent cranking had been down to a 550 amp battery was like 380 or something. Like it was like needs a decent charge, but it's okay. It'll still start a car. Like battery's fine. Okie doke. Dreading this idea of the PCM. So what I did was got a guy from work that brought me home with the battery, and I said, "Hang on a second. I'll have you turn the key for me in a minute." I put the battery back on and everything. Tried it. Nothing happened. I said, "Okay, so it won't start." Crank no start. Still doing the same thing, right? So I, per instruction from, I'm going to remember the guy's last name, Phil's Mobile Repair Shop is a tagline on his channel. I've subscribed to him. You may have subscribed to me. I'm not sure. Really cool thing. Easy way to tell if you're getting spark. If you got these coils at the 2 and 2 and 2, like on this Buick, you pop 2 off and you try and start the car. And if it's going to start, there will be a little Tesla lightning back and forth in it. Like basically an air gap discharge. It's, I don't know about the thing, but it's like a Tesla coil, like that kind of lightning. So anyways, I popped the first 2 off. Go ahead and start it. Nothing. No spark. I was like, this freaking PCM, I don't want to. And they're not available at the parts stores. The factories don't have them. This may pertain to the chip shortage. I don't know how realistic it would be to get one. You know, like, And they have the ignition module plate at the store. I can get one of them for like freaking $235. It'll be $250 after tax. And I'm like, but I don't know that that's it, so I'm not going to change it. And I'm like, okay, so the guy takes off, and I'm like, well, okay, I got some buffet pizza. I've had a chance to think in a different venue than out here. And let's, and I got some hours on the week, right? For this paycheck is going to be crap. It's going to be like 100. I don't know. I'm going to be able to get back to work tomorrow night. We're getting there to the explanation of that. If you saw any of the previous videos with the gun stuff, then you know. So I'm pacing and I'm thinking, and I got a couple of things are nagging at me, and I'm like, okay, are these things that I dismissed? Are these things that I checked by touch, but maybe not by wrench? Like, so I ended up going and finding all of these little inky dinky tiny 1/4-inch drive mini sockets from all these little, like the tool kits you buy at the general store, as it were. You go to Walmart or wherever, and they're just like basic tool kit. A lot of things you're probably going to need, common sizes, etc. But they don't have the full range. They just have what's usually most common or easy to lose. But there's a bunch of little ones that I've just been like, when am I going to ever use these? They just sit in the thing. Well, then I was like, okay, I'm going to go get all them little ones. I'm going to go find out, because there's a plug that goes into this ignition module plate that has a single bolt. And I had not wrenched the bolt. I had touched it. I tried to twist it. It didn't seem like it was moving. And the plug didn't move any different. So I'm like, whatever. But again, as is coming up here, I lack a lot of understanding of some electrical stuff. I mean, it's like, I should be able to understand solid contact being made and things like that. So I found the right size. I didn't have to use a slide wrench and have to wiggle it in a weird way that's going to mess with the wires to try and get it tightened or whatever. Someone goes, "Well, come on, you motherfucker." Like, none of that. None of that. I got the right size. I had to dork around with the mini ratchet because it's not really functioning right, so you have to hold it in the side or it'll pop out when you ratchet. Then I had to figure out which side was which, because sometimes it just lets go. But in this case, I didn't have to go super tight. I just used this little thing, and I got it to go to the right direction, and I was like, okay, so we were on the right way on the wrench, and because what had happened was, as I was just trying to get the socket onto the head of the bolt, it moved slightly, and I was like, oh, this is loose. I thought this felt tight. I couldn't get it to move with my fingers. This is obviously loose. Wrench on there, figure that thing out, and I was like, almost a full turn tighten, that this thing had like vibrated out over time. This car's been shaking a lot. Not just recently. There's things that I've been working on. The belting in the tires being bad, being the actual solution to the death wobble. All of this stuff. Car's been shaken. Some of these other things that popped up may end up coming up at some point because the whole thing's been shaken. Also, it's almost a 200,000 mile car. A lot of this stuff has not been replaced. That's just how that goes. Buick makes good cars that last a long time. That's all I can say. So I tightened it up, and I reconnected the battery because I disconnect the battery for anything related to the electrical system now after I had to pay $250 for one of these ignition module plates because I didn't disconnect it before doing the water pump. Thinking it's the water pump, whatever. No, because it's an electronic component that could be energized. And certain chemicals have reactions that ruin this. So I reconnected the battery terminal and got everything cinched up and good to go. And it started immediately. Okay, so it was a little hesitation on the first couple chugs. And then it just came on and ran. And I hooked up the thing, and it turns out that my simple basic Actron reader also gives me an duration running reading, how long this engine has been running. And so I was able to see that with time and walking back down to the house about stuff, texting with people, calling, letting people know that it worked, and I can get back to work now because, fuck, dude, I hate not working. How big of a turnaround is this from me at age 19? How big of a turnaround is this? I'm like, no, I want to work. And if you Google crank no start and look at all of the possible things it could be, it's horrific to face. But this thing that part of my hunch was trying to ignore, and I was just like, reach through it, push through that, and no, this needs to be tightened. Okay, tighten. That was on a list of things that were possibilities to get to and go back over. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. And my guess is it started the last time because the vibration of torquing the bolt onto the, removing and reinstalling the pulley, there was enough vibration that may have vibrated the bolt one way instead of the other. And so it ran the one time until it apparently shook itself out again. I don't know. Because when all the things started going, error message was when the ground broke and it was still running, and then it died. So having tightened this up, now I have something to definitely keep an eye on. So anyways, that's what's up. It runs. I took it for a test drive up the road and back. I've got no errors, no indications. The only thing on it is a speed sensor that says left side, even though the right side one I've seen is fouled. There's something else going on in that respect that I'm not even trying to get into. I did not have to spend a fuckload of money to get this going. I was able to do some trial and error stuff and didn't give into the temptation to chase gremlins and replace a bunch of shit. So I have money in the bank to pay my water bill to cover this upcoming strut situation, or at the very least to get the brake line and an alignment properly done by a shop soon. And then work toward the struts. Meantime, any gains I would have had that was literally, the thought in my head was pay my property tax. That was the thing I was going to go for. Secure the homestead. That was the money that went straight down the toilet with this bullshit-ass vibration issue that caused a loss of several days. But the thing is, it would have cost as much money as I just didn't spend, if not more, to get someone else to diagnose it. And guess what? It probably would have taken them about the same amount of time. I have no regrets. So I worked today. I did not work tonight, but I got her running, which means I can work tomorrow. And since I've had days off and they might need a second driver Thursday, I may just work Thursday. We'll see how that goes. And then on to the weekend with many hours scheduled ahead yet. Thankfully, the days that I missed were predominantly part-time, short shift kind of thing. Unfortunately, missed the better part of Saturday for hours. Did not miss anything for runs because there basically were none. Gonna go hit it hard tomorrow night. Back on it. Let this be a lesson to anyone watching this. Pardon me, I'm exhausted. Never give up. But don't get ahead of yourself either. Just don't give up.